happy Monday, and today we are talking mental health for mums, or really women more generally. And yes, I know men get depressed and men do get anxious, but women are almost twice as likely in both anxiety and depression to develop both anxiety and depression. And while this month we're not going to be educating specifically on those conditions, I am going to give you 4 really big tips on how to look after your mental health, specifically for women, and hopefully you don't experience depression or anxiety or any of those things ever. So, just for a bit of background, depression involves prolonged feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, lethargy, sadness. Anxiety is a bit like being on speed. It's related to depression, but it's not the same thing. It's illogical or unexplainable or not, or fears about the future that aren't necessarily grounded in facts. These encompassed in these 2 illnesses is also postnatal depression, post-traumatic stress, body dysmorphia, and all of these conditions can be triggered by hormone fluctuations. So think PMS and extreme versions of PMS. Think postnatal depression, menopause. Menopause, I think, is the single greatest time in a woman's life that she is at risk of developing depression. But the exact mechanisms behind the hormonal influences is still quite unclear. And I'm going to give you a further resource now. Go to beyondblue.org. They have a fact sheet and a checklist where you can go through and examine whether or not you're experiencing depression or anxiety and whether it's mild, moderate, or severe. So beyondblue.org.au. So rather than going deep into these conditions, what we want to talk about this month is what we can do about them. So this is about prevention. The tip I'm going to give you today is as effective as antidepressants. And it's about keeping mentally healthy as well as physically healthy. So like actual mental health. So today's tip is movement. Movement, it's obvious movement can affect feelings. Like think about when you're tired or sad, you sort of move more slowly, you slump down. If you feel anxious or stressed, you might be shaking, you might move quickly, you might speak quickly, or you might become completely paralyzed because for people with anxiety, sometimes making a decision is the hardest thing. But the connection between your body and brain is a 2-way street, which means the way you move affects how you feel as well. So faking a smile has been shown to trigger the same hormones as when you're smiling for reals. And then there's sort of conflicting evidence with your power poses and the hormones responsible for confidence and outgoingness. So what kind of exercise? I'm so glad you asked. Or not necessarily exercise, what kinds of movement? Well, the following 3 modalities have been shown to be as effective, sometimes more effective than antidepressants, and as effective, sometimes more effective than psychotherapy. And hence it makes sense if you incorporate these kinds of movements into every single day. It should either help your mood or mental health disorder, or prevent you developing one, or keep you in a state of optimal mental health. So regular aerobic exercise is number 1. Walking, swimming, rhythmical exercises on the power plate, cycling, blah blah blah. There's one study which is literally any kind of movement, whether it was resistance training, balance training, yoga, flexibility, stretching, treadmill, sport, any kind of movement, as long as you enjoy it, is as effective as an antidepressant. So it has to be regular every day. You need that hit of happy hormones. Meditative movement like yoga, tai chi. So it's not just lying down meditating, it's moving meditation, mindful meditations. Um, Really great for your brain, really good in mood enhancement. And I will say this, if you have depression, mild depression, uh, always go see your GP. Do that checklist, go see your GP, get a mental health plan. Um, but if you want to feel better now, um, uh, if your illness is a slowing down one like depression makes you go slow, then the kind of exercise you want to do needs to perk you up. So that's where you go aerobic, um, gym classes, that sort of thing, walking. If you are already anxious and you're already high, it is like being on speed, then you need to do movement modalities that brings you down. So like when we're talking hormonal balance, we're talking like balance in all senses of the word. If you're high, your exercise has to be low. If you're low, your exercise has to come up high. And we're always aiming for that moderation, moderate benchmark for optimal health, best bang for buck. So if you have any questions, just post them or direct message us, and we will have another tip for you on Monday.